Hi guys, welcome back to my video. Today I have here a beautiful Nelly Isler. So we're gonna dive into the world of one more orchid plant that I absolutely adore. Tell you a little bit about some characteristics of this beautiful orchid and also how we should look after it. And on top of that, I do have an stressed Nelly Isler that I have to attempt and repot. If that's the type of content you'd like to see here, stay tuned to this video and let's start. So this beautiful Nelly Isler that I have here in bloom, I was lucky enough to find it in a supermarket here in the UK. It's called Morrison's. It's a chain of supermarkets. I was in the countryside, I decided to stop by. And I was very, very lucky that they are selling some Oncidians and also Nelly Islers. I had Nelly Islers before. I had two Nelly Islers that I lost. This one, the small one, is my third Nelly Isler, and this is the fourth one. So, short story, I will get to what happened to my Nelly Isler in a second, but before that, I'll tell you how to acquire a Nelly Isler here in the UK or in Europe, and talk about this plant specifically. As I said, these plants they show in supermarkets and flower shops from time to time. They usually blooms when it's autumn, at least here where I am. That's when exactly when I found most of the Nelly Islers available in supermarkets. The others that I had, and this one as well, all of them came from supermarkets, so they didn't come from orchid nurseries, but you can find some Nelly Islers in orchid nurseries as well. The Nelly Isler is a hybrid. It's a mix between Oncidian, Odontoglossum, and Miltonia. So it's a very complex hybrid of orchid that has these like velvet flowers that range from orange to red. So the colors can vary a bit depending on the temperature. There are some hybrids that have Nelly Isler that are all red all the time, but most of them will have the lip that can be a little bit different from the rest of the flower, but nonetheless, it has a very striking color. Another thing that people love and adore about the Nelly Isler is the fragrance. For me, they smell like the fragrance is something that goes closer to orange and lemon. It's a mix of them, it's like a citrusy type of fragrance. A little bit like a rose scent mixed with orange. That's how I would describe it. It doesn't make me sick. It's not super powerful that will fulfill the room. And they are not super large orchids either. They are more like a medium-sized type of orchid, and we can easily fit them inside our house. So these are epiphyte plants. These roots, they need some air fluctuating around it to be able to thrive. They have pseudobulbs, and these pseudobulbs is the elongated part here at the base near the leaves. They are able to store water and nutrients to keep these plants surviving. Another thing is that they do enjoy their bright light, but there has to be some bright and indirect sunlight and intermediate temperature. They do suffer a little bit when the weather is super hot, so you need to keep offering them a lot of water and hydrating it. And ideally, they prefer an environment where you're going to have a drop in temperature when it's night time. They do struggle to survive more when we have a hot and dry environment. For this reason, I would classify this plant more towards an intermediate temperature than anything else. Feeding, you can feed it like you feed most of your other orchids, specifically Oncidians, Miltonias, and Miltoniopsis. But always be careful to not overfeed or add it more fertilizer than it needs. Now let's cover some of its challenges, and I'll tell you a little bit about my history of Nelly Islers. The reason why I haven't recorded videos before, but I believe I showed you these plants before, is that I lost all of them, as I mentioned it already. So let's go to the beginning where I bought my first Nelly Isler in a supermarket here. So I bought mine, and then my mother-in-law bought this little one that's here. So this one is a very old orchid at this point. What happened is, shortly after I bought my Nelly Isler, I had a huge infestation of thrips like I have it again. It did hang in there for a while, but these orchids, they do have very thin leaves. So what happened is pests, especially insects, they love munching on Nelly Isler leaves and flowers, and they are very finicky. about it because they will rapidly, suddenly start to lose structure, and these pests, they can actually make these plants very weak. So the reason why I lost my first plant was because of thrips. And the second one as well, when I bought the second one in Europe, it wasn't very healthy. So again, super fast, it declined in healthy and I lost it. My mother-in-law doesn't have many orchids. For this reason, this one was in a humid environment and it gotten affected by thrips or anything, but it is potted in an organic mix and I can see that's not growing anymore. So I believe this mix is not suitable for this plant. That's the reason why it stopped growing. But it is potted and I kept it in my cool room inside the toilet. That's where I intend to leave it there. Because these plants are very sensitive to pests, I do recommend spraying from time to time, adding maybe some oils, but not a lot because you can actually lose the structures with oils as well, but just a bit to kind of protect your plant. We need to keep an eye on it all the time because, as I said, pests will definitely come to it. Other things that can affect these plants are, if you notice that you have wrinkled leaves and wrinkled pseudobulbs, you have to offer water immediately. These plants, they don't like to dry out completely between watering. It's advisable to leave the mix a little bit moist so it will have enough humidity to keep growing. The roots are very thin and the leaves are thin as well. So it doesn't have an immense capability of storing water for a long time, for long periods of time. It suffers a lot of dehydration. Another thing that can show you that this plant has some issues, if it's to notice that the roots inside the pot are all becoming brownish and they are dying. When I mentioned keeping it a bit humid, is not sitting in a pool of water because a lot of water all the time can also cause root rot. Because this plant is a bit more finicky than some of other orchids, although they are affordable and can find them easily in supermarkets, this is not a beginner's orchid because you need a little bit more practice to notice how it's growing and how it's developing. Everything that I'm telling you are things that I noticed with my experience. However, even so, I wasn't even able to grow these plants for more than, I think, 3 years. So I wouldn't say that it's the easiest one even for me, but please feel free to try if you want to learn with it as well. Why not? But as I said, just pay attention to the roots, to the structures. Look at the flowers as well. See if you have bud blasts. If all the buds are falling before it's time, that means that your plant's not healthy. And if your plant's not healthy, it's advisable to remove the flower spike and keep the plant. Also look at the flowers. If the flowers has grazings, like this one has some grazings, it might mean that you have some pests in your collection. So it's a good time to actually spray a whole plant. And with the right care, if you have an intermediate temperature inside your house, if you have some bright indirect sunlight, hopefully without pests, your Nelly Isler will be able to grow and to bloom and rebloom for you. That's my hope, especially now that I have 2 Nelly Islers. Let's see if I'll finally be lucky enough to have Nelly Islers blooming in a year time. Today, what I intend to do is, I will keep this beauty here. I want to see these blooms, I want to see the rest of them opening. I will spray some neem oil on the leaves, so I will try to keep pests a little bit out of it. I don't know if I will be successful. Probably not, but I will try anyway. And with this one here, that was my mother-in-law, Nelly Isler, she decided to give it to me. It's a survivor. This plant is at least 3 years old, which is great for a Nelly Isler. I will remove all of these inorganic mix and we're going to repot it together. After that, I'll tell you how I intend to keep look after these Nelly Islers. So, if that's something that you want to keep watching, please subscribe to my channel, leave a comment down below, hit the like button. I'd love to have you here, and all of this helps me a lot and helps this community to grow as well. So, without further ado, let's start repotting my Nelly Isler. I have here everything that I need. Let's start removing this plant from this pot. Just to let you know, I don't use perlite or lava rock, or I don't use, gosh, poor plant. Yeah, it's very, very unwell, and it was really easy to remove that. That has no roots. Oh my goodness, that's why it wasn't growing. I hope I'm able to save it. I'm even considering doing something different with this plant because I think it will be very, very dehydrated. Let me think. You can see, but there is no root. No root whatsoever. And this is all mushy. I don't know how it is even surviving. This one is a survivor for sure. I thought it was a little bit better than that. Okay, there it is, my tiny Nelly Isler. I don't even know what to do with that because I don't think it will survive on its own. It has zero roots, so I'll change my plan. I was planning to repot that in a normal pot, adding my normal mix, but I'm not gonna do it. So let me grab what I'm gonna use here. Let's change the focus. Let me change everything. Let me show you my idea. So I have here a glass dome that I used before. This came with my terrestrial orchid, my Macodus, and then I attempted to save my Masdevallia here. It didn't work out. The Masdevallias are all gone. I don't have any Masdevallia. So now what I will do, I will attempt to save this little one. So let's see if this will work or not. But I will add just a bit of moss here at the top. Then I might add a little bit of bark as well, just to aerate my mix a little bit. What happened inside this dome is that this plant is going to be very protected against everything, and the humidity is going to be very high. With the high humidity inside this chamber, this plant will not be losing water to the environment and will have greater chance to survive. I have no idea if it will work out or not, but I will try because I have nothing to lose. I have another Nelly Isler that's more mature. I am very impressed that this Nelly Isler survived that long inside that potting mix without any roots. But with my other Nelly Isler was the same. It was struggling and struggling, but took a long time for it to be completely gone. So yeah, they do hang in there for a while, but I don't know if it's that easy for them to bounce back. So what I will do is, now that I have this all here, I do add 3 beads of slow release. Now I'm gonna just add some water and cover it. Give me 2 seconds. Ta-da! Both Nelly Islers. This one is the new one that's in an old potting mix. I'll let it be for a while. What I will do now is just spray some neem oil that I have there on the leaves. And here I have the newly potted Nelly Isler on this glass dome. I offered some water. There is water here in this glass. The water will evaporate and keep circulating around. Humidity will be pretty high here. I hope this plant deals well with this. And another thing is that I hope it survives and I'm able to actually save this plant. It's my first attempt. Let's see. But that's like creating a high humidity chamber. And hopefully this plant will be happy in there. With this one, I have another idea. That was a user that suggested that I think she lives in the US. And she uses, I'm going to put it in here. This is Neem cake powder. I think some people use it on top of the potting mix. Sprinkle a little bit with water to prevent pest infestation. I did read some articles, some scientific articles, and apparently neem powder does help with infections. I'm not sure at which extent it will actually prevent pests, but nonetheless, I decided to try with just some plants to see if you're gonna have some difference. So I will choose some of these plants, but I think I will try to use with the Nelly Isler. I'm just a bit concerned about fertilizer, how it will affect the nutrients that these plants absorbing. However, I will just experiment with that. If I see any difference or any result, I'll come to you. Taking these out of the way, this one I will don't add anything to it, don't worry. It's gonna be just sitting here, and most of my plants, I'll keep treating them like I'm treating all of these years. But I think with these plants that are very sensitive to pests, I will try to experience a bit and see if it works or not. If you have experience with it, let me know down below. If you have experience with Nelly Isler, let me know down below as well. And that was everything that I want to show you today. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button, leave a comment down below, subscribe to my channel. There are multiple ways that you can support me. And that's it. I see you next time. Bye bye.